One expert, though, on terrorism says what we're seeing is not new for those who live in Afghanistan. Our Nicole Grigg picks up the story from there.
The one goal of terrorism is to create terror and to specifically target individuals who are civilian populations and others.
ASU professor Daniel Rothenberg is the co-director of the Center on the Future of War. He spent time in Afghanistan working on human rights and rule of law projects.
The images are all so negative that come out of the country, but it's an extraordinarily beautiful country. And working with Afghan people is an honor.
Professor Rothenberg says today's attack is not surprising.
It isn't something new in Afghanistan. Suicide bombings have been widely practiced, specific attacks on civilian targets, schools, and other markets.
As for a terrorist attack here at home,
one thing we know, though, it's nearly 20 years since the 9/11 attacks. And one thing that we've seen in 2 decades is there has not been a single successful externally organized terrorist attack taking place on domestic soil. And if we can imagine ourselves back at the 9/11 era, the time of 9/11, that was not what anybody expected. In fact, people expected there would be multiple attacks of the 9/11 type.
ABC 15 talking with offices for different members of Congress from Arizona. Representative Greg Stanton says his team is actively advocating on behalf of dozens of Afghans who helped the United States during this conflict, as well as their families. Congressman Paul GOSAR's office says it is processing over a dozen constituent requests at this time, but wouldn't say who they're helping because of privacy concerns. The office of Congressman RUBEN, who served as a Marine in Iraq, says it's working on safe evacuations for a number of Americans and our Afghan allies. On a different note, Congresswoman Debbie LESKO blames the Biden administration, saying the handling of this withdrawal has been a disaster, calling its actions unconscionable. She goes on to say that her thoughts and prayers are with the victims and their families, a sentiment shared by Senator Mark Kelly, who praises the men and women deployed to Afghanistan, calling them the best of us. He goes on to say those responsible for today's attack must be brought to justice. In Phoenix, Nicole Grigg, ABC 15, Arizona.